Hey folks, this is Randy Shea with Property Tax Watchdog Group. I don't know if any of you have received this in Victor, New York, but it's basically the 2022-2023 school tax bill, Victor Central School. From last year to this year, for me, I think it went up about 7%, 6 or 7%. I don't know. I have actually done the math. I looked at the two bills side by side. So there's two things that basically can affect what the actual tax is. Well, there's more than two, but on property taxes, the two important ones, the ones that are fundamental, are what your property is assessed for, and then the second is the tax rate to the associated tax rate to that tax entity. I actually have, I think, 7 different types of property taxes, all with different rates, or like for the instance, for the water bill and the sewer bill, it's done differently. It's not based on a rate, but those are also property taxes. But it could be usage taxes, whatever their taxes, right? So the thing is, it's really hard to figure that all out. This is a call to action. I'm not just a guy who, I don't know, got involved in not thinking that the library tax was, I didn't like the proposal, and I thought the tax was extreme or in tough economic times. And so I got involved, and it was really, I mean, me, but it was a group of people that, in a way, I wouldn't even consider myself the main player as far as what all happened in terms of our campaign, and how, by a margin of more than 2 to 1, Victor and Farmington taxpayers said no. We love the library, but we're not in favor of this proposal, and that's what happened in the spring of 2022. So what am I going to do with it now that I started up propertytaxwatchdog.group.com? And am I the go-to person? Absolutely not. A call to action means that I need you to do it. I just do what I'm doing, but just in your own time, in your own way. Start paying attention. What you would notice in the Victor one, for instance, is I didn't see it last year, but they basically sort of estimated what the new tax could be for next year. They based it on the fact that, what is it? Let me see if I can find it here. It was like 80, because so many houses sold at way above the normal rate, because mortgage interests are way down. We had a housing boom in Victor. I don't know about Farmington. I think so also. But people were willing to pay a lot more because they could lock in lower interest rates. Well, now interest rates are skyrocketing. Um, so, but basically, the way the tax assessors and the planners of taxes think about it is that all of a sudden there's room to reassess and increase the assessments. Where is it? So like last year, I don't know. The assessment this year is going to go up, probably. It doesn't say that it is. Yeah, here it is. 89%. Now where last year my assessment was around 100%, everybody's was. Now it's around 89% because of that mini housing boom. So, reason you got to pay attention to this is because without any tax rate increases at all the tax entities could get an increase anyway if they increase our assessed amounts. Don't go blaming the assessor's office. They are really just the people that are supposed to implement whatever's been decided, and try to do it fairly. And I trust that they will do that. They happen to be the in-between, though, as to who's actually making the decisions. And that's your town board members. And it's happening right now. There's budget quote unquote workshops happening. The one for Victor was recently canceled. I'm going to tell you again. according to the letter from Jack Marin, certified, sent to my house, it's caused me a lot of just hassle just to think about it. I'm still not, according to that, he hasn't ever communicated me any other way officially that I am allowed to go to any town facility for any reason, and it's unjustified. And I already know that now. I mean, I knew it. I knew it right from the beginning. But well, let me just put it to you this way. So they don't like people asking questions. They, I'm sorry, you don't like it, especially if hits not the basic questions, but the ones that actually are sort of needle you a little bit. That basically point out something that's maybe not shouldn't be happening, or that you're not doing right. You don't like that. And so you don't like people like me because it's what I do. I mean, I don't really actually want to get involved in government. If things are going well, I just kind of go on about my business, but at least recently I had to. And so yeah, when I show up, I mean, I'm showing up and saying something. I try to keep it constructive and say some things that I do like, but one of the main reasons I take my time, not getting paid, to go get involved, try to learn what's going on, and go in and give them what I believe, and sound the alarm when I think it needs to be done, instead of just sticking in my own little world. Everybody, I'm asking you guys to do that, just to whatever extent you can. Get involved. But the thing is that things are going on right now that are very important, very, very, very important. In Victor, at least. I don't know about Farmington. For you to be paying attention to. Number one, in my opinion, in Victor, New York, we've had a problem for a long time that has not been addressed. And that has to do with when you want to go to find out who you should talk to about some issue. It doesn't really make sense at the town level. Um, for instance, recently it was the development office who coordinated the Memorial Day parade, which I'm happy somebody did. We had a Memorial Day parade this year, but it really wouldn't not appropriate that they would do it. It's appropriate that the Parks and Recreation would oversee that and run it, but they chose not to, even though they had a guy who's run it perfectly for many years in a row on payroll. The person in charge of Parks and Rec, for whatever reason, maybe it was a good one, said nope, he can't do it. The thing about that, though, is why I think maybe he should feel the heat a little bit on this, is the person who's in charge, the director of Parks and Rec, is, unless I'm wrong, and the word it is, what I heard was that that person was told he couldn't even volunteer to do the Memorial Day parade, to organize it on his own time. So anyway, so what's the problem I'm trying to point out here? We need to have a Department of Public Works, and there's this reason why it's really important that we address this now. Is I'll explain in a minute, but Department of Public Works makes sense because then they oversee Parks and Recreation, the Highway Department, and maybe some other functions of the government. Development Office is over here at the same level probably, but that's to encourage economic development, et cetera, get grants and different things. And it shouldn't be confusing. It is confusing. And it can save us tax money coming up. And this is how they create a new Department of Public Works, like most towns and most villages, most of them have in governments. And then underneath it, they have the Parks and Recreation, Highway Department, and whatever else. Now you would think, well, that's adding another layer of government. No, it's basically putting leadership over it, because the town supervisor, ours in Victor, isn't here very often. He is actually out doing county business, or he's at the state level, or he's doing other things, and he's not really. Uh, he's not, like, if you look at the roundtable meetings and a whole bunch of stuff, he's kind of left the director of development in charge of the town while he's away. She's not elected, and is she qualified? I don't know. But the thing is that should be, I don't know. I don't know why that is. It's doesn't seem to be appropriate, but regardless. So if you got a Department of Public Works though, and then you've got the development office over here, then you've got two lead players in the two major functions of our government at the town level. Now, how does it save us money? Yeah, I mean, basically, you don't need to have, you probably don't need to have extra people at the Parks and Recs. We definitely need to keep Parks and Recs. They do a lot of good stuff, but it would save us money mostly. You could cut the payroll some. That's it. Make the new position of the person who's in charge of Department of Public Works, and cut some positions. Then you don't have the two organizations, which they work together mostly. But the Highway Department and the Parks and Rec, you don't have to have twice the equipment. And because you want to manage it, you need to have that equipment too, because you can't count on the town letting you borrow it, and vice versa, and going back and forth. So they're both building up their own equipment. They're both needing buildings. Okay, so this is how it saves money. There are two things on the agenda that I believe both should happen. The Parks and Rec needs their own building, and the Highway Department needs a bigger facility, maybe two facilities, or somehow they need a bigger facility. So we're going to be making that expenditures as taxpayers. But if it was the same building, Department of Public Works, that housed basically whatever the excess need is for the Highway Department, but also Parks and Rec, and that was all in the same building, and they shared equipment, and it was decided upon based on whoever would be at leadership, not favoring Parks and Recs more than the Highway Department or vice versa, but somebody who can make those decisions. That makes it easier for the town supervisor. That can reduce our taxes for the reasons I said, or at least maybe hold them the same. The buildings that they're talking about building, if they build them separate and they continue to build out separate, it's going to cost the taxpayers probably, because it depends on what plan they put out on the table, and they could just say that I'm wrong, but probably it's going to cost the Victor taxpayers more money to do that way versus combining into Department of Public Works. And just from a common sense standpoint, it just makes all the sense in the world. So they can figure that out. That's what they should do. Is it easier just to go with what has been going on for a long time? Absolutely. Then they don't have to change it. I mean, there's a lot of things that need to be changed if this was to change what I'm suggesting. But the thing is they've a lot of them have been just getting easy paychecks. Honestly, they just would prefer it that way. Well, it's time to come back to Victor, Jack Marin, and help Victor out. I don't think you've been doing a very good job, because I've been taking a look. I've been listening to you for a lot of years about the things that you say, which often gets you elected. But I haven't seen you get us a higher proportion of the sales tax. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. But it's something that you use every time to stump to get your position as supervisor. You're at the county level. You're the chairperson of the Board of Supervisors. If there was ever a time that you should have the sway to push for a larger proportion of the sales tax collected at the county level for Victor, New York, which would help in keeping the school taxes down also, which would also help a lot of people in the Farmington area that are the Victor Central School District. There's you know a lot about this stuff, and you talk about it a lot, but what are you doing? So you come back home and you start taking care of some things here at the town level, and yes, you'll have a really tough year if you took my suggestion and combined to make a Department of Public Works and reorganize everything. There's going to be a lot of people complaining, and it'll be tough for you. And I know that, but that's your job. That's why it is a job. And so I'm just saying, maybe it's my opinion. Maybe you can just go ahead and float the way you have been, being popular and all, and good politician, knowing how to say one thing to one person, thing to another, come to a public meeting, say nothing, have them both argue it out, and have them both believe that you're on their side because of the stuff you say on the outside meetings. I don't like those. I definitely won't go to private meetings with you anymore. I don't trust you after what you did about telling me I can't come to the town hall not just a town hall, but any town facility, making me out to be something I'm not. And I don't know what I'm going to do. As of right now, and I'm still sticking to this, I'm not interested in I don't believe in lawsuits, but I don't plan on doing it. I don't plan on it, but I can tell you I already got advice, and based on what has been found out already, I'd probably win if I took one out. So I wish you would just fix that by making a public apology to me, like I've suggested. That although you saw some reason for an action, the one you took was totally inappropriate, and I apologize, Randy. I'm sorry for putting you through that. Most people told me you're not the type of person to apologize, but you were wrong. I know that. I think you do now, and I think most of the public does that really look into it. So so it's a call to action. Get involved. Whatever way you can, go to the budget workshops. Make sure you're not just letting the people who are making the decisions for you just let them collect an easy paycheck. Don't be harsh on them. Don't give them a hard time just for giving them a hard time. Learn what you can. Don't just go off the rails angry or something unless you really, if you get to a point where you're frustrated and stuff, express it, but do it respectfully. That's the way I've always done it. Unless it comes to a point where they don't respond at all, then I don't do well with that. Or if they're bullying me, which, when somebody bullies me or demeans me or whatever, and I'm doing this, on my own time, my own way, and maybe I don't have all the answers and stuff, but if that kind of stuff happens, or if I'm put in charge of something and I can see the people that are supposed to be doing are just missing it or just not doing what needs to be done, and all the work that I did could just get thrown off the table for an important purpose, then I'll be harsh, and in a way that gets the point driven home and accomplishes the goal. So I guess that's it. That's just how I am. I learned that part of it I learned in the Army. There's a time for that kind of leadership that needs to take place, but in general, I never appreciated it, and I don't really like it when people use that on me. But if you're really in charge, you know what's going on, and something's about to get messed up, then it is appropriate to be pretty strong in how you go about addressing that. And so anyway, so people can have difficulties in communication and maybe not even like each other and all that, but to pull garbage like what happened to me, I'm gonna stop talking about myself. I'm talking about you guys. I need your help. I don't make any money doing this at this juncture. I don't know if I ever will. I have some ideas of how to, make some money, at least pay for the website, and if I want to keep doing this, but I do have a life too, and it takes a lot of time to actually research and know what's going on. The people that should be doing that for you are the people that represent you in government, and they should have the answers like this. They shouldn't have to go back and talk to so and so or so and so. They should be on their game. Each and every single one of them should be a mini town supervisor if they're on the town board levels. They should have their own thoughts and their own answers, and know what's going on in the process, not get just easy paychecks and say, oh, well, I'll have to talk to so and so or so and so. No, you're supposed to have those answers ready for any person in the community at any time comes up and wants to know the answers, and not just have town board meetings where oh, you gotta go ahead and talk for 3 minutes, and you know you can go ahead and talk. Oh yeah, well, thank you for coming tonight, and never even respond to anything they say. Never give them any inclination of whether they're on track or off track. Not really even answer their questions directly. And if one person speaks out, do they really represent the views of every person? That's not happening enough. I do see it happening some, but in general, I think it really comes down to a lot of them do have other things they're doing in their lives. They're making money in other ways. They've got other responsibilities, and they get packets and they look through what they can, and they get a once over lightly idea of what's going on, and then they look to somebody who they believe probably doesn't know more, and they just do whatever they say and vote yes or vote no, whichever that person, whatever they say. So it's an easy paycheck for a lot of people. I don't think it should be as easy as it is. If you can't dedicate the time to really get into it, get into the mud, then maybe you should help somebody else take your place. Get somebody in there that's going to dedicate a full-time job. It actually does. Just being a town board member, that's a full-time. I mean, that's a full-time income right there for a lot of people. And people that would be dedicated more specifically to town government, that might be better than people that have all these other responsibilities and things going on. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm just talking at this juncture, and I should stop. And you guys have a great day. All right.